My goal, basically, is to show a little bit of the Torah, the Bible, to show an interesting part about arguing with God, and then to transform you all into rabbis in less than 5 minutes. Okay, you ready for that? Okay, here we go. Number one, arguing with God. And I'll tell you a story about a young rabbi comes to a community, and the rabbi gets there, and he's his first Shabbat, his first week in the synagogue. And they come to a key, pivotal moment in the prayer liturgy, and half the community stands up for the prayer, and half the community sits down for the prayer, and start screaming at each other, sit down, stand up, they're arguing. And the rabbi says, wait a minute, this case is no way to run a service. And he goes, well, I have an idea, we'll go to the elder statesman, the last surviving member who set up the synagogue, we'll ask him, what's the right minhag? It's called the tradition. So, in the back is an old man, big white beard, he's been here forever at the synagogue. They go to him, and they say, venerable uncle, is the tradition to stand during the prayer? He strokes his beard and says, that is not our tradition here in the synagogue. The rabbi says, venerable uncle, is the tradition to sit during the prayer? He thinks about it, strokes his beard, and says, no, that's not our tradition either. And the rabbi just grabs him and says, but if that doesn't happen, then everyone argues. And the old man said, that's our tradition. Arguing goes back further than, I would say, to the very core of the Jewish practice. There is a beautiful story that Eli Wiesel tells of sitting in the barracks in Birkenau and calling a trial against God. With the rabbis, they are starving in the winter of Birkenau. Sat and put God on trial. And Eli Wiesel tells the story and says, this is simply an older story told after Abraham had come to Berdichev. Rabbi Levi Berdichev stood up on the high holy days, one of the holiest days of the Jewish calendar, and turns to his community and said, I know God is judging us, but this high holy day, says the rabbi, I want to judge God. And there's a shock. Judge God. And they say, that's what we do. Before we can pray to God, we have to judge God. And they sit down, and they put God on trial. And in the end, they come to the conclusion that God is guilty. God is guilty for the suffering, the pain, and the world. And then they pray to God. And then they can turn towards God in prayer. And that's tradition. Okay, let me ask you an open question. You're on your way to being rabbis now by putting at the end of the monologue. How many people believe it is correct to argue with God? A very brave soul. Then more. To argue with God. Yes? And the rest of you weren't quite sure yet? Whether or not the tradition allows for it? Whether or not authority gives one permission to?
You can't argue with someone who is not arguing back.
No. You can't argue back. Or they're always right. It's like...
this is not a very sensible position. I can argue with this wall. This is God. This concept doesn't stand neither here nor there.
Okay, so exactly this question, what does it mean to argue with God? Right? God doesn't usually say, well, wait a minute, you haven't said that to me yet. What does it mean to argue with God? So I'm not going to tell you what it means, because that would lose the argument. I'm going to do what happens in Jewish textual study sessions. That means you get to argue with each other. The way this works like this. I give you a text, okay, and you get together something called havruta. Havruta simply means pairs. So, not right now, but in one moment you'll turn to the person next to you, say hello to them, and with a sheet in front of you, the way it works like this. You are going to turn to the person next to you. You're going to sit and read this page from the Genesis chapter 18. How many of you have seen Genesis chapter 18 before?
Never.
Ah, great. It's a great way to start. Let me just jump into what Genesis chapter 18 is about. Abraham is standing there before God. And God is about to destroy the wicked city of Sodom. It's filled with evil. The Midrash tells us it's a place that is basically like modern Europe. So evil that when a poor person comes and asks for food, they turn them away. Okay? A refugee situation. It's that evil, it's that wicked. And God says, I'm going to destroy the city. God knows there's not going to be enough righteous people to save Sodom. So why do you allow Abraham to argue? Okay? God knows the outcome. Why argue if you know the outcome? Why does God allow Abraham to argue? Now, in our limited time together, as we go, let's tell the story and get your answers to this question. Okay, scenario, God's about to destroy Sodom, and he says, should I tell Abraham what's going to happen? Good so far? And Abraham says, hold on a sec, God. I need afar efer, on dust and ashes. I want to tell you something. If there's just, maybe there's not. Maybe there's 50 righteous people. And you destroy everything for 50 righteous. He works his way down. 50, 45, 30. Gets to 10 at the end. And then they go on their way. And God destroys the city of Sodom anyway, because there's not 10 righteous people. That's the story. And why, friends, does God allow the argument to happen?
Because he wants us to grow.
Ooh. You hear that?
Question.
No. Repeat that again, because he wants us to? He wants us to grow. In an argument, you grow. Isn't that beautiful? That's what it says about, that's what God says. I'm trying to teach him how to do tzedakah, righteousness, being mishpat, being justice. If he wants tzedakah and righteousness, and you want to teach that, and he's going to teach it not to himself, but everyone to become the Av. Av means, in both of our traditions, Av means father, right? Abraham is the father of all of our traditions. And to be a good father is to let your children argue with you. Isn't that part of it? I mean, I try to do that all the time, but there's some element in which you want our children to argue with us so that they grow.
Well, and also that's, if you don't talk with God, you don't know him.
What a beautiful idea. As well, like the first question that we teach our children in Judaism is at the Passover Seder, at the time of freedom, and we teach the youngest child at the table, they get up, they stand up, and the first thing they say is, "Ma Shana," why? Why? Because we don't know what's happening until you can ask the question. Engage the text. Why? Why the refugees? Today. Why what's happening in these communities? Until you can ask why. I just want to give you another question. Here's God arguing with Abraham. Abraham arguing with God. Because Abraham wants a world full of justice. Good so far? And righteousness. Now let's fast forward to a couple chapters later, when God says to Abraham, okay, now I want you to kill your firstborn son. You know the story? Does Abraham argue there? No. Isn't that strange? Wait a minute. Wait a minute, what happened there? Abraham is the one who can argue before God for righteousness, for justice. And now God says, anyone whose parents came mad in this moment, why wouldn't you argue when God says to kill your firstborn? So why does Abraham argue with God at Sodom and not argue when he says, take and slaughter your firstborn child? Silent crowd, huh? But you know the answer for this one. I'll tell you what I heard from my rabbi. But think about it, if you have a better answer, let me know. And it says, my rabbi would always say, there are Shivim Panim, there's 70 faces to the Torah. 70 faces to the Torah. Right? So there's no one right answer. Though my rabbi then said to me later on, I went to him and I said, I had the answer to a particular question. He looked at me and he said, that's not the answer. And I said, but Rabbi, you told me there's 70 faces to the Torah, 70 faces to each biblical interpretation. And he looked at me and he said, you know, Natan, I did tell you there's 70 faces. But the answer you gave me, that's not one of them. But there is 70 faces of interpretation. And so what I heard from my rabbi, Rabbi Sachs, was this. When Abraham argues for Sodom, he's arguing for the stranger, the other. When Abraham argues, would have argued, but this refrained from arguing about his own son, that'd be an argument for oneself. What I want. I don't want to do that for myself, my own child. And so we're allowed, Rabbi Sachs, if the argument's for the other, it's always allowed. It's for the sake of heaven. If it's for myself, my own needs, it needs rethinking. And this happens again and again, just to say what subversion looks like. I was in a meeting recently trying to figure out, do you guys know the PREVENT program? Okay, not only give you difficult theological texts, I'm going to give you difficult political moments in history as well, in 30 seconds or less. We're in Luton. Who argues against the PREVENT program usually? The Muslim community, right? Who listens to that? Does the government listen to that? Very rarely, I have to say, do they listen to the argument because they say, well, of course, you're the ones we're looking at. So you're going to keep arguing. Luton conversation happened across the multi-faith spectrum. There were Jews, Buddhists, Hindus, and they all got up and said to the government, we're concerned about prevent. Because the argument wasn't about about anti-Semitism for the Jews, Islamophobia for the Muslims, the effects on the Hindu community. Because they were arguing for the other, all of a sudden, government became very worried. And if you ask government, tell us about the concerns about prevent, everyone mentions what happened to Luton on one meeting. Just one meeting transformed the conversation. Because at that moment, people of faith, for one brief moment, began to argue for the sake of the other. And it transformed the entire space. Thank you.